Welcome to Joellen's Kitchen. If you've been following my Facebook page, I bet you know what's coming. My garden is starting to produce crops. Tomato I got, and zucchini. So today, of course, we have to make a Pennsylvania Dutch zucchini bread. Now we're going to make a regular one, but I'll give you a chocolate option too. So what we have to do is peel it. We want to end up with 2 cups of zucchini. Now you can shred it, or you can just cut it into like little cubes, and either way it'll be fine. So let's get started. What I like to use is this old potato peeler. It's reliable and it's low tech, but it works. So I can simply peel it like I would be a potato to get rid of the shells, and we'll just let them fall into the bowl. This way we're not wasting a lot. It takes a nice thin swipe at that shell and gets it off there real nice and clean. If I could get a better grip, I could take a little better swipe, but it's so slippery. It's like a wet bar of soap. There's that end. It's the stem. Okay, now I got to get rid of the shells, so I'm going to go dump those in the garbage, and I'll be right back. What I found is that the upper end is all meat, so to speak, if you want to put it in those terms. And I can cut 1/2-inch circles, and then I'll go back and cube them. But when you get down further, you're going to find large seeds, and those you don't want to use. So far, so good. I think it's to the point where I can make like 6-inch long strips. Yeah, here you can see all the seeds are coming in, and that's what we don't want to use as a seed, so I'll work on that piece. So just like in an apple, you have a core that is full of seeds, and that's what we're going to leave aside. Well, I didn't think that zucchini was all that big, but I can tell I'm going to have enough for a double batch, so won't that be special? So maybe I'll make the first batch plain, and then the second batch will have as chocolate. How's that? We're going to add, first of all, 2 1/2 cups of flour into our mixing bowl. And we're going to save the zucchini for a little bit later. Next, we want a teaspoon of baking soda. And a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. We're also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Smells so good. And we have some cloves here. We're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cloves as well. These are ground cloves, by the way. And I'm just going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So that's all of our dry ingredients. This is a half cup of margarine. We're going to drop that in. And we also have 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Now I use Mazola corn oil, but whatever you use is fine. And of course we need a cup of sugar. Has to be a little sweetness in there. I'm going to add 2 eggs. And 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, now we just have to whisk it together. I have like a granular consistency. Now I'm going to add my milk. Now, of course, you know I'm Pennsylvania Dutch, and I'd like you to take note that there's a PA preferred sticker on the top of this milk jug. We're trying to support our local dairy farmers, so this is PA preferred locally grown milk. It's called Dairy Pure these days, Swiss Premium. Started out as a family-owned business, and they were bought out by a larger company, but it's still local jobs and local farmers. So 1/2 cup of milk. And we'll get all of that mixed in there too. In goes the zucchini. And we're going to coat that zucchini with the batter. And now what we need is some baking pans, and I have a special request to make it into small loaves for sharing and to take to lunch and things like that. There are 2 options. One is to simply use these little baking pans. They're like $3.50, but the disposable ones are aluminum, and I guess arguably they could be used again. However, you get 5 of them, and they are like $1.25 a piece for the disposable ones. They do have nice little lids. You can bake it in that. And of course, the alternative is if you use these for the giving, instead of leaving it into these pans, you can just wrap it in cellophane, maybe tie a bow around it, something like that. But you get so many zucchini that you have to do something. You either have to freeze them or, you know, treat your neighbors to something special. And I think that it's a nice way to share your gift from God and the generous bounty that He gives you in your garden. So let's see how many little tins we get from this one recipe. Of course, you want to make sure your pans are clean, and you want to then spray them with some Pam, or you can do the old-fashioned way of greasing them with the Crisco bars and some flour. Looks like one batch is going to give more than 3, so I will be using some of those disposable ones today. But I think I will be getting some more small ones once I know exactly how many I need. It's been a long time since I've made this. And I used to make it in the larger loaves and just cut off pieces, but this is more personal if they get their own little zucchini loaf, so to speak. Oh, maybe 3 will work. Huh. Of course, I'm filling them awful full. I don't know if it's going to go out over the top. We'll find out when we bake them. We're going to bake this at 325 degrees for at least half an hour. If it was a big cake, I would say 45 minutes, but these small ones, I don't want them to burn, so we're going to check them at half an hour. Okay, while my plain zucchini bread has been baking, I've been busy mixing up a second batch, and I'm to the point where everything is exactly the same as the first batch, except I'm going to add some chocolate, specifically a 1/4 cup of Hershey's cocoa, and I have a 1/2 cup of actually Nestle's semi-sweet chocolate. It's one of my favorites. We're going to add those in there. And we're going to mix that around into the batter. Make sure that's mixed in there really good. And again, this batter is thicker than most cake batter. It's more of a cookie type batter. So I think we're now ready to tumble the zucchini in there and coat that. My 2 cups of zucchini. Of course, it's a little over the top, but that's what my zucchini gave. So it was a really nice size to get 2 batches from. Now I have my perspective again. It's been a while since I've made all this stuff. When my kids were grown and went out of the house, I never got to bake as much. So it's fun baking for you and teaching you my recipes. Okay, and then as soon as we have our pans back, we'll put this in and bake this just the same. Again, I'll give you an update on that half an hour. I have about 8 minutes to go, and then I'll see if I have to let it go any longer. We'll know a couple of ways. We can use the old wooden toothpick to stick it in and see if it comes out clean. We can also look around the edges to see if it is pulling away from the edges. That means it's done baking as well. So we'll look for those 2 signs. And the third thing you can tell is down the center, is it still shiny and glossy? If it is, it still has a little baking to go. But if it's kind of cracked and it has a split in the top, it's done. So we'll see. Okay, so I just checked my zucchini, and 35 minutes is ideal for those little pans. Big 9 by 12 would be 45 minutes. Let's get our zucchini. They look nice, just perfect little individual servings, so to speak. Boy, did those little zucchinis turn out of the pans nicely. I actually got them on my silicone mat to cool. And now I'm going to fill these. I think I will spray some more Pam in just to make sure that they do come out just as nice. And we'll get the chocolate ones started. Let's get these in the oven to bake.